This is The Comms Exchange, a podcast by 3090 Marketing. Each episode, we sit down with colleagues, leaders, and changemakers to share stories and lessons from the field of community and economic development. Together, we explore how communications shapes strategy, builds trust, and drives momentum, because every project, every partnership, every breakthrough begins the same way, with a conversation. Hello, and welcome to the Comms Exchange. I'm Rachel Ledet.
And I'm Christianne Brunini. And I am super excited today because we have a very special guest. Kelly Longwell is not only a friend, she is a mentor. She is a co-board member with me on One. She is an amazing attorney. She is a leader in affordable housing. She is all the things and a bag of chips. So she has started her own boutique law firm. We're coming up on year
2.5 years.
2.5 years now.
Yes, at the beginning of the month.
So and her leadership has been so strong. So we want to welcome her today and are excited to talk to you.
Well, ladies, thank y'all for having me. I'm honored that you asked me to participate. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. We certainly had your name top of mind when we wanted to do a segment about thought leadership and industry leadership and really positioning not just your company's brand, but your professional brand. And so we are thrilled that you were able to join us today, and we can't wait to dig in a little bit about some of the things that you've done over the last really probably 5 years, but specifically the last 2.5 years with your role at Longwell Riess.
Great.
So when you launched Longwell Riess, you weren't just building a law practice, you were building a brand. And so what kind of led that decision and how you decided to think about putting yourself on the platform?
So when I originally started practicing law 30 years ago, I was told, get out there, get in the community. You need to be seen and heard. So I've done a lot of volunteer work with organizations where I could get a little bit higher profile. So fast forward to my prior firm, and I was part of a larger firm, but I had a great team. I really operated autonomously with that team. And when I realized I started to compete against them and lose my brand to them, I was like, it's probably time I should start looking and figure something out. And so that was sort of the genesis. Some other things happened, but it was the genesis of Longwell Riess. We did the analysis. We looked at other large firms and what our team brought to other large firms. And we decided to do a small boutique because we wanted our own identity. We're really, really good at what we do. And we wanted to be able to create a place that would be where we would want to work.
No, we get that. Certainly, we've had the same sort of entrepreneurial leap for ourselves about just really doing the stuff we love to do, and we get to do that with people that we like doing it with. So we definitely embody that and have lived that. One of the questions I wanted to ask is, when you were going to launch your boutique firm, did you know that you were going to focus heavily in the real estate sector, specifically with tax credits and housing and sort of those like subsidized federal and state-based projects? Was that part of your vision?
It was really the only vision. That's the space that we've operated in, or I've operated in my entire career, affordable housing and community development. There was a time when I did some federal incentives that were really market rate, like hotels and things, but I kept coming back to affordable housing. And so we knew that it would be a firm that predominantly would focus on real estate and the benefits and incentives that are out there for real estate, such as tax credits, both state and federal.
So you're known as a technical leader and advisor behind the scenes. How did you decide how to participate in front of the scenes? So the speaking panels that you do, the conferences, how did you make that shift? And I know that there are probably a ton of people that would love to follow in your footsteps. Like, how do you make that happen?
You really start small. And if you cannot get on panels or things like that, create your own little workshop. That's something that you're really good at, and make sure that you the way you position yourself is you want to be really, really good at one thing. And then you sort of build on that to be a little bit broader. But do a workshop. We did workshops in the beginning for small developers that really didn't know what they were doing, didn't know what tax credits were. We had a lunch, we did it for free, and they came in, they learned a lot, we learned a lot. We learned how to teach the course better or teach the concepts better. So that's one way of doing it. And we've done that over the years, not as often as we'd like to, because we're actually speaking on more true panels for different conferences and stuff. But once you sort of get a comfort level and you can present the information well, people will hear about that and will start asking you questions or ask you to come into classes. There's Tulane has a program in this Masters of Sustainable Real Estate Development. We always teach the historic tax credit course there. I was actually on faculty for a while, but just really honing your craft, being able to be conversational about it, and then trying to get out there and find places to have the conversation.
I think that's a great point, that by living that giver's gain mentality of educating first, showing up through leadership positions, sometimes it's just asking, hey, who can I help in this community? That sometimes is the best way to start, because people do have questions. They sometimes don't know how to get started. They want to have access to a professional. Sometimes it's hard to know if you even need an attorney or who to go to when someone's sort of a super specialty. So I think that's a good point for anyone who is a master of their craft, is figuring out who needs your help and showing up a little bit in the space to offer some free help, whether it is just a lunch or some type of low fee workshop, so that you're getting your name out there. And it does help the presenter too.
It does.
I mean, every time we present at something, we kind of figure out something else that clicked in the room, or that people have needs because they ask you questions about things. And so it really is a two-way educational process when you're doing these any type of speaking, even if it's a round table with 5 people. So I love that idea of just kind of getting out there, asking where you can plug in, starting small, and then people kind of get to know your name and know what you're doing, and then you start to get asked to do more. And there's also ways to just apply for things sometimes, like you said, in your specific industry. If there are conferences, sometimes you can go through a short application process to get on a panel or asked to present a topic. And sometimes it just takes a few of those times to get comfortable and get yourself out there so that you have those opportunities, and then they keep building from there.
I have always gone out. I don't charge clients to come in and have that initial conversation. I've been blessed to have a career to where people can come in, talk to me. I don't open up a file. I say, let's talk about what you're going to do. Let's spend an hour. I invest an hour in them, and then they usually come back to me when they've got everything put together a little bit more, and then we can close the deal. So we both win. I helped them in the beginning. They stuck with me in the end. And that small investment up front will definitely pay off for you tenfold down the road. And you don't get all of them, but you do get you get that loyalty.
Sure.
Why don't we take this moment for you to actually tell us a little bit more about what you do behind the scenes for people who don't know, because you shape communities, but you do it all behind the scenes, and you're pulling all, you're a little puppet master back there making things happen. But like, pull back the curtain a little bit. Tell us what that really means.
Well, we work with clients. We really are actually a team member. I don't really consider them clients. So we work with trying to understand the entire picture. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to are they doing this one deal and they just found a great building? It's going to be a great project. Are they trying to transfer a neighborhood? And really learning about what the end goal is for not just the one transaction we're trying to close, but really the overall corporate goal. And really just trying to help them, being another voice at the table, telling how they can get there. Are these incentives are available? Be careful of this, and pointing out potential traps that they might not have seen. It's really just having a voice and being willing to give your time to help create a better product, both for you and for them. The earlier you can get involved, the more you understand, the more you can actually contribute. You can bring us in at the end and we'll close it for you, and that's great. But I always tell people a better use of me is to bring me in early. Let's brainstorm, and everybody has a better project, better end result.
And are your clients typically developers or landowners or construction teams, or all of the above, or a team of people that consists of some of those? Who's your normal clientele?
Historically, I've represented just about all those groups. Today, I am strictly a developer counsel. I work with the developers that are actually putting the deals together and doing the actual work. We've represented lenders before and investors, but it's nice to be creative on the developer side. It's fun. Each deal is different. Each deal has its own little nuance, and you just get to help. Our end result is really putting good product, either it's apartment complexes or apartment units or a federally qualified health clinic or a grocery store, in areas that really need it, underserved communities.
So you get to do, as Chris said, some puppet mastery, but then you get to see the thing really get built at the end. And we've had previous conversations, Christiane and I, about the unique nature of this business because we get to walk through the thing at the end. And that is so different than other service providers because some people build things for months and months and years and experience them, maybe like software or accounting practices and things that are tactile, but nothing is as tactile as walking through a building. And we just love that part of it. And it's kind of interesting to think about, even as a law practitioner, you're able to brainstorm and strategize and work through all this paperwork and research really, and then maybe 6 months or a year or 2 years later you get to see the actual product in the community that needed the grocery store or the apartment complex or the health clinic. And so I know that that's rewarding for you as it is for us because it is a special part about the work that we get to do.
I mean, affordable housing, you've got people that don't make a lot of money and they're getting most of the time, a brand new unit that is very nice. And it's heartwarming. I mean, it's that gives you that touchy, feel good kind of high that most lawyers don't get. Also, we're in a very small industry that are amazing people. And so we get to work with really, really nice people. They're not always, we're all representing our clients. We don't always agree. It can get testy at times, but overall, it is a very, very nice industry, and people are working towards a goal rather than trying to either win a case or something bad. It's everybody walks away from the table happy.
Yes.
So in developing the relationships with your partners, your developers, I'd like to talk about your signature event and how that came to be, because I know, having worked for a developer, I was so excited when I got my first official invite to the Kelly Longwell and Todd Little dinner. So tell me a little bit about that, because we know at 3090 that events are a powerful tool for bringing people together, whether or not it's for advocacy or for relationship building. It's just a great way to get people together. So what was the idea? Like, how did that come to be?
So when I first started at my prior firm, we set up LAP, the Louisiana Association of Affordable Housing Providers. Todd Little and I have worked together for 30 years now. I met him on my very first day of work. And so I called him and I said, look, we're starting this organization. I'm starting it and you are too. We've got to show up at the meeting. We're doing it in conjunction with the board meeting. We called people that we thought needed to be at the table. And when we originally set it up, we expected 15 people to show up because we had those commitments. There were about 45 that came. We set it up, it gave us a united voice at the Louisiana Housing Corporation. But then we started having a conference. So you sort of grew this little organization. Well, for the larger conferences across the country, there's usually people have dinners and stuff. Well, I called Todd and said, okay, we set up LAP. We now have our conference. We have to do a dinner. And so Todd and I do a dinner for our clients and friends, colleagues that we work with. It has become, gosh, it was originally 75 people. It's now almost 150. And it's one night, and Todd laughs. He's like, girl, you know how to spend money. So I'm like, if we're doing this, we're doing it right. And so we have a dinner at Galatoire's, and it's a fun time for us to break bread together and to get people to know each other. It is, I mean, Todd and I try to make sure that our competitors are not invited. They have been in the past, but it's really a chance for us to market our services. So there is that component of it, but it's really also friends. I mean, I have a lot of lawyers that come. They're the investor lawyers or they're the lender lawyers. So when you meet somebody on a personal level, you sit next to them at dinner, it's a lot harder to be nasty to them the next time you have them on the phone. And so there's that other benefit to it. But Christianne, thank you. Thank y'all both for attending the dinner. It's a fun event and a fun night.
Yes, it is a great event, and people certainly feel blessed to be part of it because there's so many people in the industry there, and it feels as a guest like a party, which is what it should feel like. And on your side, it feels like an opportunity to break bread with your clientele. So it's this like beautiful sort of mix right before this conference kicks off that has a ton of educating and updating and learning on the governmental advocacy and planning side. And so there's this business component, there's a networking component, there's this sort of like New Orleans party flair component. And so that's sort of the magic sauce that I think Christiane was referring to is it's not just a dinner, but it sort of has these multi layers that you and another business peer really kind of come together with a shared target audience and use it while it is a big investment for both of you, but you really use it to sit down with people who you might not get to see all the time. And then also as a follow up for future conversations. It's been great for us to attend to just get to have a chance to meet people in the room who we maybe haven't sat with in person. And so you're even giving value to your guests in that way, which is pretty amazing.
Well, there are two things I want to follow up. One is we actually had people this year that came in for our dinner and did not go to the conference, which floored me. I don't know, but very, very flattered. But also it's kind of fun 2 weeks before because you're sitting there with your clients and saying, okay, especially with newer developers, I need you to make sure at this event, you need to meet 1, 2, 3, 4. And so some of our younger developers get to come in and actually meet people that they would have a hard time getting in the door at their office.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'll say, you want to see if you can sit with these people at your table because they're usually tables of 8 or 10, and the groups do tend to sort of split up. Maybe there'll be 2 people from a group, but like if you have a group of 8 that are coming to the dinner, they'll split up and be at different tables. So you get a good mix, but it's a informal way to make an introduction and get people the opportunity to meet people that they wouldn't ordinarily meet in such an easy way.
Well, since we talked about LAP, we have to talk about WAN, the other alphabet soup in
Yes.
this industry of alphabet soup. So LAP is a Louisiana conference, but we also participate on the Women's Affordable Housing Network, the Magnolia States chapter, which is a combined chapter between Louisiana and Mississippi. And then you are also on the national board, or were. Are you still on the?
I'm their outside general counsel. I feel like it's better to work with the local chapter, to be honest with you.
But either way, it is as a woman business owner in the industry, it's a powerful way to connect with other women in the industry. And, having you had the opportunity to start this career 30 years ago, but there are many people who are coming in and they don't have that sort of wealth of experience. I came to affordable housing from wellness, right? So I think that the next generation, and that's what we're focused on there, is making sure that the next generation of affordable housing practitioners from every different industry have a path forward. And so that's another way to give back. And we thank you for that service too. But looking ahead for you, what's next at Longwell Riess? Because I noticed that you have hired a business development director, which tells me that maybe some growth is happening. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
We have growth plans in Texas. We will actually have a physical office there next year. That's the goal.
That's amazing.
It's exciting.
Where in Texas are you planning, Kelly?
Houston.
Okay.
We will have a lawyer there starting after the first of the year, and then we'll hopefully have a physical office shortly thereafter. And then Esmeralda will come in. We were lucky to get Esmeralda. Esmeralda and I have worked together for a long, long time, and the opportunity presented itself, and I jumped at it. She was necessary for me because I needed somebody to keep me on task. I'm being pulled in a lot of direction. Marketing, because it doesn't drop to the bottom line, really, really is hard to put at the top of the list. But if you don't grow, you're not gonna make it. And so that's Esmeralda's challenge. I'm like, okay, you got to keep me on task. You got to keep asking me where these things are. What are the next conferences? So we are actually planning now what we're doing in 2026 and 2027. So I've never thought about it this far in advance, but time is such a precious commodity that I needed somebody to help me ration out my time and then also help me promote my people that are under me. That's probably the best thing about what Esmeralda's doing. She's got all these great contacts, and it's easier to get me on panels, but let one of my people be on a panel rather than my being on it, because I want them to be promoted as being thought leaders and industry professionals.
Well, and that's a very good point too, because especially in technical services, whether you have an engineering firm or a law firm or an architecture firm, not having everything be just on the owner,
Right.
because the owner or owners are one person or two persons, and it's just not scalable. And so the fact that y'all are really planning for scalability and allowing those maybe middle tier managers to have an opportunity to get some stage time not only helps them and their professional acumen and their exposure and their speaking experience, but it sort of divides the pressure, the time restraints, and really the thought leadership to a group of people, which is helpful to the firm long term. And so it's an investment, but it's so powerful to have 5 people doing it instead of one person doing it.
And it's also, you're building a bigger pie, which is better. And we're not doing growth for growth. We're actually trying to be strategic about our growth, because we do want to continue to maintain the level of service. But I want to spotlight the people that work under me, because they're really talented people. I've taken a long time to build this team, and to highlight them has been fun. We're able to highlight them in a manner that just actually makes the whole firm and the brand, the Longwell Riess brand, better.
Yes, and because you're being intentional with hires like Esmeralda, who I got to meet in Austin a few months ago at a conference, and she's wonderful. Investing in consistency is so important, and having someone to be your partner in that. And then the consistency in the other things, like you knowing where you're going to show up throughout the year, you investing in a social media campaign to make sure that you're present weekly. And sometimes I feel like people who are so high in expertise in their field are striving for a level of perfection in marketing related resources and tools in the marketing toolbox. But what they're missing is just the showing up and the consistency. And so part of what we love about what your team is doing is that you're investing in the consistency so that what goes out into the world, yes, is good, but it's also about being there, having conversations in person and online, and just it's like breadcrumbs, it's a Hansel and Gretel concept, like just giving a little bit over time. You can't throw one post up on LinkedIn a month and think that you've shown up in your community. That doesn't calculate. And so whether it's a business development role or a social media campaign or a speaking series, which you sort of are having all three working together right now, it's about providing value, amplifying your team, showing your company culture, and communicating to your clients that you're there as a resource. And I think that's where really your brand is matching so beautifully with who you are as humans and what you provide as a service. And I wish that I could bottle that up into like a little square thing to hand out. But that's really what I feel like it is it's just really good matchup of how you show up and then also what you deliver.
It's the intentionality of it that not everybody can be a great business development person, but you can work on your shortcomings in that realm and really play your strengths and work on your shortcomings to create what the growth that you want. But it takes time and money. And so you just sort of have to make the commitment to do it.
Well, Kelly, I could talk to you all day. You know that. So we'll have to close for today, and I'll have to catch up with you at the next lunch.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for being here today, Kelly, and for just being an advocate for this field and a teacher for all of us and a great ambassador for the industry and for your own firm. So we appreciate your insights and your sharing of your stories today, and we can't wait to see you soon.
Sounds good. I look forward to lunch, ladies. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to The Comms Exchange, a podcast by 3090 Marketing. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss out on an exciting new episode. We'll be back soon with more stories and strategies from the field, because every breakthrough begins with a conversation.